Welcome one more day to an harmony, a space to live consciously the primordial origin of true life and its unfoldment. Since, as we have seen in other occasions, the development of true life is like the growth of a seed that contains a tree that flourishes and grows, emanating and developing different effusions, expressions of reality, dimensions. And we have to understand that everything came from that original point and a state of oneness. However, as we can see all around, something happened that broke the original movement of oneness and connection with the One, the Holy One. And thus everything came to be in a state of pain, disease, death. There is obviously joy in life, but there is also much suffering. Therefore, our main mission is to connect with the movement of unicity, oneness, living consciously, and therefore we must get into contact with the qualities of the Holy One that make everything connected, reintegrated into oneness. And today I'm going to give you a few clues to unify our experiences. And before telling you about some experiences and visions I had in the past, we must understand that the quicker is the vibration of our consciousness, the more we go into the original oneness. Because everything in this world is frequency. And the quicker is that frequency, the higher is the energy, the lesser is the distance between the vibrations. So by raising the awareness, it's possible to decrease the difference between spirit and matter. When spirit becomes alive, matter is spiritualized. And when the vibrations of a spirit become slower, then the matter also becomes denser. Think, for instance, in the sound of the helicopter and how sound energy comes from the helixes spinning. The speed of the helixes is going to give us the sense of solidity and energy, sound. Obviously that's a very dense example. However, there are more subtle degrees of matter which depend on quicker vibrations. And the first step to spiritualize and vivify matter, bringing it back to the original state of the primordial one spirit, is to unify mind and body. Because usually, due to the dark experiences that we have in this existence, we come to feel discomfort, pain, suffering, things that we don't like, and then the mind dissociates from the body, from the feelings, the sensations, the emotions, and tries to look for outlets in the external world. And this generates a division, a slower vibration. This division of mind awareness and body is precisely what makes our experience denser, because we don't find out the connection between the external world and how we react with the mind and how the body is reacting to our mental attitudes. Therefore, it's necessary to discern all the connections in body and mind, so we can bring back all the experiences to a state of oneness, always from the sense of being an effusion of the Holy One, because there is only one in everything. We cannot be separate, never, even if we mentally feel disconnected. This is a process of learning how to deal with duality, with the experience of density, so we can vivify, holify, make things more alive, even if they are fallen. Our mission is to bring them back to life. I already told you about the vision experience I had with that sort of region of the universe in which I saw a black hole looking like a reptilian eye, the eye of a Jicus, that absorbs, attracts everything, even beings of light that are distracted, and they come to exist in a world of duality in which they feel completely lost. You can check the previous video where I expanded the experience. And now I'd like to explain another vision, another memory that took place when my body was sleeping. And as I explain what happened, I'm going to have a little walk. In this experience, I was led by a force coming from my inner being, my true being of light, I guess. And this force led me to watch what I interpret as another timeline, showing me the interior of a house in which I saw my biological dad, the man who in this present existence is my biological dad, but obviously that was another timeline. And he was very upset, he was very angry. Actually, he kicked with his foot a box that was on the ground. I think he was moving to another home, and he was very angry for some reason, which I don't know. I was floating around him, he didn't see me, but I could see him perfectly, and his behavior. I could feel how he was feeling. And after that, this inner force led me to another room of the house, in which I saw a girl. I immediately deduced that she was the daughter of my biological dad in that other timeline. And she was also very upset. She looked very sad. And I felt an immense love for her. I deduced she was part of my time family, so to say. And instinctively I kissed her on the cheek. I was also floating around, and she noticed me slightly, but everything looked like frozen in time. It's very difficult to explain. I don't know if this was a real episode that was taking place, or rather the residue of some other timeline, because as I say, everything looked frozen in time. And she didn't react very much to the kiss. Now after that, my inner being took me out of the room and then led me to witness another vision that was even more strange, because what I saw can be described as a virtual garden. Actually, it looked like a video game. And there I saw two humanoids one of which was like a draconian being, humanoid, biped, and he walked along with human or some humanoid being that to me seemed very human, and they were walking together, and this was very intriguing to me. Actually, I began to think very intensely about the vision, and my thought was so intense that I began to lose mental power. I have to say that in these visions, experiences, we need a huge amount of energy to keep up with the situation. We need a very strong mental body, because as I say, it was very difficult to keep up with the frequency of the experience. And obviously my inner being was very aware that I was feeling that way. He took me out of that vision. He dragged me out towards the left, and I stopped seeing the virtual garden, and I immediately entered in a more unconscious, dream-like state until I woke up in the physical body. And for many years I didn't know what to make of all that experience. I could guess it had to do with another timeline, but the virtual garden was something very strange, even though I could guess there might be a relation with the so-called Garden of Eden. And over the years I came to the conclusion that my inner being was leading me to ponder, to reflect, and make a connection between what took place in the Garden of Eden, according to ancient myths, and our present experiences, not only in the family but in society in general. As you may remember, the stories tell us that there was a mix, two seeds mix, the seed of the serpent and the seed of divine light, so to say. Due to the fall, and this mix was rather an intentional strategy ideated by the fallen architects, known as Jehovah Elohim, popularly, and this led to many conflicts that should have been resolved differently, but they had very selfish interest, as we see. We'll explore that in later videos probably, but for now let's understand that even though many thousands of years have passed, we are still struggling with the two seeds. This is what generates many conflicts in ourselves. We feel emotions that we should not feel, and obviously this generates many problems, divisions in the family, in society in general. And it's very obvious that in spite of all religions, politics, the aggressive forms of science and unconscious art in human culture, everything remains in conflict. Therefore, those are mistaken ways. Those are not the ways of oneness. It's obvious that nowadays people are still behaving like savages. Now we are seeing in Barcelona, in the north of Spain, how the independentists are using violent means burning trash containers on the street, throwing things. We saw the same in Ecuador and other places, because there is a conflict that has not been resolved, and this is something we must learn to deal with, first within ourselves, and then help others see the connection. Therefore we must connect back again with a primordial vision that connects and includes everything, transforming everything around from within. So there is no a division between the inner and the outer. Otherwise, the inner conflict will eventually destroy us. And the truth is that we have a tremendous responsibility to integrate everything fallen into oneness, seeing how everything relates. There is nothing devoid of true meaning. Even conflicts are an example of how the inner world relates to the external world. Obviously, if we don't transform our negativity, then we are going to project that outwards. We are going to judge others negatively, accuse them of many things, and we will try to separate ourselves, which is what happens in society, in families, everywhere. Even in the natural world, in the fallen natural world, animals are very loving sometimes, but they can be very aggressive as well. And due to the fall and the mix, we have in ourselves this confusion. Sometimes we have animal impulses, and other times we miraculously have an openness for divine light. So we must be able to transform, talk to the body, for instance, instead of trying to manipulate and tame the body. Let's transmit a feeling of oneness and security, safety, so we can harmonize the situations, the emotions, bringing back the division into a state of high vibration. Then experience becomes more alive, and even when we are suffering, we can experience something which is different than suffering. But obviously, we must stop accusing others, stop worshipping external gods or a god. It doesn't matter. Anything external is going to create division, separation between creator and creature. And the truth is that the Holy One lives in everyone, like I said. Therefore, the only way to feel that Holy One is by connecting with the divine qualities emanating from the Holy One. Unconditional love, which is acceptance, of course, but also compassion. Then we have non-modified life, vitality, which grows inside. Expansive conscience that discerns the truth, and also serenity. And thus we can understand the Holy One does not have a name, does not call himself God or any other label, and in the same way we should live without classifying ourselves and the world around. True life is an experience beyond words. Actually, in the true reality, nobody speaks. Everything is known immediately. Even nature has an echo of that silent language, and we can learn from it. But we have to be very honest, accept what we have in this world. There are obviously two natures, and we have to deal with them both, transforming rather than denying the animal nature, the nature of the serpent. And of course we'll have to go deeper into what happened in the Garden of Eden, because today we are in the same situation, but with greater responsibility, greater understanding. And until the next time, let's simply feel how the Holy One is loving through us, living through us, being aware through us, with serene qualities that unify all of our experiences, bringing them back to oneness, all connected by a single point, where reality remains and falsehood dissolves.